Yes, just did, Natalie. So you can go ahead.
Oh, okay. So we're recording now, right? Okay, great. Well, thank you to everyone who has joined. My name is Natalie Topa, and I work with WFP as the Global Advisor for Regenerative Resilience. And what that really means is that at WFP, we want to understand and explore always how can we partner with nature to in a way that supports food security and that reduces the need for food assistance all over the world. We want communities to be independent, to be adapted to climate extreme events and degradation, and that means having an ecological partnering with nature, with soil, with hydrology, and all that ecosystem function that provides the foundation for food systems. We have a speaker today named Arief Rabik, and we're joined also by Voli Karuchi, who's our director of PROAR at headquarters. So actually, I'll go ahead and introduce Arief really quickly. Prior to joining WFP last year, I took a course in bamboo design and construction in Bali at Bamboo U, and maybe I can put a link to that. I've already included some of the funny YouTube videos that I made while I was at the course. Arief was one of the people who was our mentors in the course and one of the instructors, and he has a very interesting history that is so intrinsically tied to bamboo. I'm not sure if Arief is going to touch on this, but Arief's mother is one of the founding mothers of the global bamboo movement. Bamboo has been historically used around the world, especially in tropical areas. But when Arief's mother reached Bali, Indonesia, and I think there was a story of her floating in the ocean and someone threw her a chunk of this floating material, and she was an artist and a furniture maker, right? And said, what is this material? And they took her to a bamboo forest, and she fell in love with it, and she met this person called John Hardy, who had escaped Canada and was a jewelry maker, and together their families sort of all merged as a community and wanted to create a really otherworldly school experience for their children. So Arief, Alora Hardy, and Oren Hardy all grew up together as children with these incredibly visionary parents who made the Green School of Bali. If you haven't seen that, you can Google it and amazing things will appear on your screen. So I did this course because I think that it's always important for us to explore some of these amazing resources that we have in our world. And I know, Voli, you and I talk a lot about, we're not really into these sort of panaceas, the vetiver, hemp, hemp is the answer to everything, or vetiver is the answer to everything. But I hope that you'll find at the end of this presentation that bamboo, it really is a very special thing that we need to pay attention to and that we need to understand and explore. How can we integrate that into the work that we do at WFP? So I'm going to, this is our second speaker in our regenerative speaker series. This series is really meant to be an informal, casual sort of gathering for inspiration pollination. And roughly once a month, depending on my missions and whatever Voli and Delphine have me focusing on, wherever I have time, I want to be bringing in people who are not necessarily in our industry, but who are doing exciting, interesting things that really have some synergy with the work that we either are doing or could be doing. So I'm going to hand it over to Voli just to send us off, and over to you, Voli.
Thank you, Natalie. It's always contagious to hear from you in the passion and everything. So and the experience that also you bring into this area of work. And welcome, Arief. It's a privilege and an honor to have you hosted in this real regenerative family. I'm a fan of bamboo myself. I plant bamboo in the Marche region in Italy, in a place where people say you're crazy, and they were tiny little things like that. Now it's a kind of a massive, edge, and actually strives very well, even with temperature that in my area reach below 5. And then it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to see, to touch, to admire, and it's a friendly plant. It's also it's a network. Is it it can give us many, many inspiring thoughts about things. WFP can make best use of it, or can contribute to support the propagation and the utilization of bamboo for multiple needs, and to help the poorest people on earth, particularly in those areas that have the climates, and probably around 30% or more where WFP works, bamboo can be part of the solution. And it can be part of the solution even in other areas where we combine with all other techniques on the backyard homesteads, on many other, peripheries of urban and peri-urban centers, for example. So there are opportunities that we are not necessarily looking at now, but also I think it's also a technology that needs to be understood. It's not that you planting bamboo and that's it. It's a different is really and there are so many varieties, from the giant to the normal one, and different type of bamboo species can be for different purposes. So I really welcome this series and this particular subject, which in Southeast Asia, for example, but also in part of subtropical Africa, and many other places in the highlands, for example, of Ethiopia, which the entire Dorze group in southern in southern Ethiopia, in Chencha district called Chencha Woreda, actually use bamboo since ages, and they build their elephant-shaped huts out of bamboo, and they call it the house that can be moved from one place to the other depending on their risk assessment. So it has become part of the risk mitigation strategy of those people. These are a few examples I want to mention here. But over to you now for this very interesting session. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Wooly. Just before we get started, the last time we had a presentation, it was in a webinar format in Teams, but we had some challenges with that. So this is a standalone actual meeting, a Teams meeting, and we do have some external partners, I think from FAO, UNHCR. So welcome to those and to all WFP staff who have joined. There will be a Q&A session after Arief's 30-minute presentation, and I was told that Mentimeter surveys are annoying, but I have included one. Wooly said, don't do Mentimeter survey, they're annoying. But anyway, it's optional. It's helpful for me to get feedback, so feel free to fill that out if you'd like. And just really quickly, why bamboo for WFP? There are so many different uses in the work that we do with asset creation and livelihoods, ecological restoration, slope stabilization, hydrological healing, gully plugging. I've used it in Burundi, but even in Uganda, I've been working with refugees previously before WFP with doing gray water mulch basins, so that household gray water can go into a mulch basin for growing bamboo. So the food, the fiber, the timber, there's so many different ways that this is relevant to WFP, and we can talk about at the end during our Q&A. But I'm going to let Arief go ahead with the presentation. So thanks so much, Arief. I'll turn off my camera and mic in the meantime.
Amazing. Hello, everyone. Thank you for this amazing opportunity. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you. Is it Mr. Voli Karuchi? Is that correct way to pronounce? Pleasure to meet you, sir. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you, friends. I'm going to hopefully press some buttons and show you a very nice presentation. Okay. Can everyone see that okay? Oh, I can't see anyone.
Yes,
Perfect.
we're good, Arief.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay. Oh, I've now lost it. Excuse me. Okay. So, regenerative resilience with bamboo, food securities, livelihoods, and climate action in partnership with bamboo. Just a quick background about me and kind of where I work. This giant clump of bamboo in the background is part of a 15,000 hectare area of bamboo-based agroforestry in eastern Indonesia, and it's a giant bamboo, you know, maximum diameter is 30 centimeters in diameter at breast height. And these canopies of this giant grass that we call bamboo can grow 30 plus meters tall. And, you know, they can sequester a huge amount of carbon, et cetera. And so I've been working in these areas for the last 15 plus years. And I grew up in a bamboo household. My dear late mother, Linda Garland, they called her the Queen of Bamboo. And she started, as Natalie was saying, working with bamboo as a designer and as an architect, doing amazing bamboo products from 1973. So, you know, I only started working in 2003, 2005 with this. So I've taken on the legacy and vision of my mother and many amazing pioneers in the bamboo world. Professor Walter Lise, Professor Fu Maui, amazing pioneers. There was about 100 plus of them. And so, you know, the next generation of which I feel I'm a part of, we stand on the giants we stand on the shoulders of these giants. And so, you know, the story, if I can slide. The story that I want to tell you about is a story of bamboo, but it's also a story that we don't believe in just bamboo. We believe in what we call a bamboo village, and that bamboo, roughly in a third of a forest, an agroforest, an agroforestry system, is actually one of the most amazing ways to empower people to restore degraded lands and create the forests of the past with this giant grass. And this giant grass that we've put a circle around and ring fenced and used the term bamboo is actually in many shapes and forms. And, you know, the Eugenias and the oxys of Africa are very different to the bambusas and the dendrocalamuses of Asia, which are very different to the guaduas of South America. And so these giant grasses actually come in many different forms. And we humans have kind of called them bamboo. And, you know, traditional and indigenous communities have been using these giant grasses for so long because they were fast growing, they were practical. And so going forward, you know, we really want to try to create this village vision for bamboo and building an international restoration economy through village level bamboo agroforestry, where we're mixing in the right species of this giant grass into a mix of agroforestry that is appropriate to that landscape. And, you know, the food, the fiber, the fuel, I can't remember all of Natalie's 5 F's, but, you know, there's pharmacy in there.
Food, fodder, fiber, fuel, fertility, and pharmaceuticals with an F. Thanks.
There we go. So, you know, it really is amazing how bamboo can, and bamboo-based agroforestry can, you know, tick 12 of the 17 development goals just at the forest level. And if you bring it to a building, you tick all of the 17. So I'm going to take you on a little bamboo journey. And, you know, the context that we speak about here is I don't know how clear this is, but if you can see in the tropical and in the temperate part of the world, you have this faint color of the former lands that were productive, and then you have the current. And so, you know, we've degraded a lot of land, 2 billion hectares of degraded land globally. And this is a global challenge, right? And how can we all come together to restore this in a way that is really an opportunity rather than a burden? And bamboo-based agroforestry, we believe, is one of the key tools to help this happen. And, you know, we also talk about it in terms of climate solutions and landscape-based climate solutions. And we say that a potential climate solution has to be integrative in nature. And especially with all this new talk in the last few years of nature-based solutions, you know, it's really important to understand how we are being integrative. And so the 36 to 40 billion tons of CO2 emitted into the atmosphere every single year, and the 2 billion hectares of degraded land, and then this understanding of inclusive economic growth, can we pull this together in one module and one approach that can really help the world to restore these ecosystems in what we call a restoration economy? So a few glossary terms to start. Resilience, we really believe in this term, and we believe in understanding ecological and social and economic factors and all the different buffers and the resilience of each of these parameters. And once you go past the threshold of these buffers, and you get to a point of no return, and it's very hard to bring it back. And so, in a lot of these partially degraded systems, of which there are hundreds of millions of hectares across the world, we can bring back the forests of the past with bamboo to increase the resilience of these systems. And one of the key, things that we talk about in our narrative on this all is biogeochemical cycling, and really to track the different biological, geological, and chemical cycles that improve the resilience of a landscape, both ecologically as well as socioeconomically. And then our degraded land definition leads from that, right? So we talk about degraded lands in terms of the lack or the degradation of those biogeochemical cycles. And we don't talk about, a definition that many in the world use, which is basically just land cover, right? And whether or not there is a photosynthesizing leaf between the sun and the earth, and if there is, that land is not degraded anymore. We really like to understand at a deeper level these biogeochemical cycles, how they've been degraded, and how we can bring them back with these bamboo-based agroforestry systems. And so we truly believe that this restoration economy is the way to do it, to activate, 1 billion plus farmers across the tropics of the world to plant these right mixes of agroforestry. And we truly believe that bamboo turbo boosts agroforestry because it is a grass that can harvest rainwater like no other species on the planet, and it builds soil, and it creates this livelihood. And if we were all in person, I would do a 5-minute bamboo yoga with you. I think, Natalie, we got to do it when we were together. And so, why bamboo? So we have, these 5 buckets that we talk about. Firstly, it restores landscapes, and in that, we have this amazing ecosystem service of 50 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent absorbed or sequestered per hectare per year from 1 hectare of bamboo-based agroforestry, right? And then we also have, and I would have you be going down with your hands and sucking up in a yogic move, basically how 1 clump of water can absorb 5,000 liters of runoff, of rain runoff, and hold it for about 6 to 9 months, right? And so here in Indonesia, the tribal communities say that bamboo is like a cubang air. It's like a water holding tank for the topsoil. And so this is an amazing ecosystem service, especially in a pioneering environment where we are restoring degraded lands. And so we have, effective flood mitigation and slope stabilization, preventing landslides. These are very important ecosystem services of bamboo. And of course, it's also very versatile in end use. The Chinese informal and formal sector of bamboo shoots is more than $60 billion per annum. So it's a huge industry, mostly in the informal, as we understand. But I should ask the World Food Program to verify those numbers, but it's a very inspiring number that we hear from the Chinese Academy of Forestry. And then, of course, I'm wearing a nice bamboo textile lyocell shirt today. And, so it can become a sustainable in the lyocell form, and there's other forms that are not sustainable, cotton replacement. And also, again, if done in the correct way, and here in Indonesia, we believe that when you make strips and bamboo laminates, the waste product converted into a pellet is an amazingly sustainable bioenergy source. And then, as you can see in the photo behind me, or maybe you can't, as a construction and it's a wood industry material for buildings and furniture, it is very strong, and it has a weight to strength ratio better than steel. Rapidly renewable, we have a 4-year cycle with bamboo, and if you were to plant the giant bamboos, the Dendrocalamus asper, you get a first harvest in 7 years, and then you get a harvest every single year from then on. But the actual bamboo shoot cycle, and then 4 years of hardening, is a growth cycle of 4 years. But the farmers would get a harvest every single year from each clump. And because of this fast rate of growth, it's very cost effective, right? And so bamboos can yield 50 kilograms of product per pole. And those giant poles that you saw before, it's about $4 including transport here in Indonesia. And it empowers communities. So household productivity in these areas where we do bamboo-based agroforestry are doubled, because we have both the men and the women, husband and wife, even the kids and grandparents all participate in bamboo because it is accessible for them to do so. And we talk about systems of about 200 plus households that work in one bamboo village, one bamboo-based agroforestry co-op. So again, some really key ecosystem services of bamboo to remember is that one clump can absorb 5,000 liters of water. It is really a water holding tank of the topsoil. And 1 hectare of bamboo can sequester 50 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent per hectare per year. And in China, they can make, including water extracts, etc., 50 tons of product per hectare per year, which is just absolutely amazing. And, here in Indonesia, for the last 3,000 plus years, there's evidence of traditional communities using Dendrocalamus asper, which actually started from Myanmar, and different migrating communities brought it down across the archipelago. They used bamboo to restore watersheds. So it has, 3,000 plus years of demonstrated ecosystem services in many areas that were in rain shadows, and, stabilizing the left and right side of rivers, what we call kakisu, and really helping watersheds to function in the way that they should. And so bamboo in soil, when we talk about flood proofing and drought proofing, at the same time, because of this stabilization, because of this slowing down of the water, and then you get, it's the erosion is impossible because of the root network that this giant grass, that typically, grasses, we think about something that is anywhere between 5 centimeters to 60 centimeters. And with bamboo, with a giant grass, we have a giant grass that can grow up to 30 meters tall, that gives that same grass ecosystem service of erosion proofing. And so, when we talk about bamboo-based agroforestry, we can create, when we plant bamboo as a grass with a shallow root, with a medium root species like a palm or coffee, cacao, and then deep root species. The Albizia family is one that is used here, the ficus family. We can create a knitted hydrology where basically, if you were to bang on the soil of degraded lands, and I hope you do the next time you go out to an area where you plant bamboo, you bang on that ground and you tell everybody that the shock waves of your smack to the ground should all the way down to 20, 30 meters be filled with roots. And if it's not, then we haven't realized the full potential of that soil and subsoil. And that's what you get from bamboo-based agroforestry. And so, in China, excuse me if I pronounce this wrong to the Chinese speakers, but my master, my Lao Tzu from there taught me, 适时适地适处. It's the right time, right place, right species to use. And especially when we talk about the World Food Program and perennializing food systems, this is something I'm learning from Natalie. And I think the venue and matrix that bamboo can create in order to give habitat to these perennialized food systems is a really important subject to discuss. And so, you know, we learned a lot from the Chinese and the Chinese Academy of Forestry, and we brought the models of what the Chinese successfully invested in, you know, over $20 billion of investment in China. And then we took many successful components of what they did in 6 million hectares in China and brought that to Indonesia to what we call a people first, people, public, private partnership. And so this is really the vision that we are trying to work with strategic partners like WFP to really integrate it and infuse this into all different landscape and food and land use programs across the globe. A little point about durable bamboo products as carbon sinks. You know, this is something that we've actually done quite a lot of research on. And so, you know, we have this upstream of the growth of the product, the middle stream, which is really the important part to activate with the communities where they do semi-processing, and then the downstream where you have a carbon sink from a chopping board to all the way to a building, right? And so you actually have to manage all three, and you get carbon sinks in all three if you manage the whole value chain, right? And so CO2 balance of bamboo from cradle to grave, and hopefully cradle to cradle into the future, is again a very important part of this conversation. Okay, this is a beautiful carbon sink by Mr. Jörg Stamm, if you ever have the pleasure to meet him. He is a bamboo master who has been building beautiful bamboo structures, including this bamboo bridge. And Jörg also helped with these two other buildings. The photo on the left, this is an amazing carbon sink in the heart of school, of the Green School. And on the right is the gym of the Green School that just won an architectural award, and Atelier won, a famous engineering firm actually helped them to engineer it and make sure that it holds up, and it's really quite fascinating. This is on the left another shot of the gym from outside. Some of the most beautiful curvilinear structures are here up in the Midlands of Bali. So if you ever have time to come to Bali, please come and visit us. I invite you, and we can take you out to see these beautiful buildings. On the right is the bridge of Green School. So we can also take you on that beautiful bridge. And you know, this thing that the weight to strength ratio of bamboo is better than steel is really the one of the magical qualities of bamboo, because the vascular bundles, you know, the veins of the bamboo are also the fibers that give it its strength, and they're hollow fibers. So it's has a beautiful efficiency in its pipe form, and it's micropipes built into a macro pipe. On the left here is a very famous building that also won a lot of awards called Sharma Springs. And, you know, on the right here is the evolution of a lot of these buildings in Bali is now in the modern design. How can we take bamboo laminates and express the bamboo in a modern way? And that is happening in many, many exciting ways. Out of Cambridge University here in Bali, there's several different institutions working on it, as well as others across the world. There's some beautiful interiors of bamboo. So you know, if you come to Bali, we'll get you to hang out on that sofa and drink a nice coconut water with lime. On the right here is another beautiful structure, very curvilinear And these buildings, you know, they are expected to last about 30 to 50 years with maintenance. So, you know, it's not the old bamboo where bamboo would last about 10 years. It's a new bamboo where they put preservatives like borax into the woody mass of the bamboo, and so it can have actually a significant service life. Bamboo laminates, there are types that can last 100+ years. So if we don't have all the pieces of this puzzle put together, actually bamboo on its own doesn't work, right? And so that's why we talk about a bamboo village rather than just bamboo. Bamboo doesn't work on its own. It needs the other agroforestry friends to create that knitted hydrology. And also socially, you know, many of these social forestry men, well, they need some help. And we have proven technically that without 50+% women participation, these social forestry systems fail. So women empowerment from a technical perspective, as well as from an ethical and moral perspective, is critical to the success of our systems. And so it is a requirement. And yeah, and you know, we have great stories we could tell you about how these women, we have a Mama Bamboo program where they're making all these propagules, and these women would make about $1,000+. And what would they spend the money on? They buy a fridge. They pay a down payment on a motorbike. They buy a TV so that the men don't go out drinking at night, or too many times. You know, they buy a washing machine, and so you know this social engineering that is part of the agroforestry and the different canopies that we have to create here are so important, right? Because the human dynamic actually makes or breaks these systems. And so, yeah, how do we increase the role of women in all of these parts? And you know, the women and the governance of these systems is something that we are working and advocating for these women to have, you know, stated regulation rights, and also in terms of the financing, having, for example, discrete mobile phone digital banking bank accounts that nobody else other than that woman knows about, are really important tools to help incentivize everybody in these social forestry systems, including the women's and girls, to really be able to just focus on managing these agroforestry systems and not get caught up in some of the, you know, elite capture and exploitative realities that do pop up in a lot of these systems. So just a very quick overview of the crux of how we do value addition in our systems, because we believe that value addition is key in order for these farmers to make enough money from the bamboo, and also that bamboo truck going all the way around the forest can harvest cacao, coffee, etc. on that same bamboo truck if this strip processing value addition is activated. And so there's 8 steps. The first step is selective harvesting. They then cut it to length. They then split it into splits. They then remove the skin. You get some a byproduct that you can create into a bioenergy there. You do a sugar extraction by boiling, steaming, and some carbonization, which is a thermal modification of the bamboo strip. You dry the bamboo strip. You store it, and then they transport it. And with those 8 steps, the value of the bamboo increases 6x, sometimes 4x with some smaller species, but with the species that we work with, it's 6x. And so, you know, that is how we can ensure a stable restoration economy where social forestry systems can have long-term livelihood security for these communities. So from a systems perspective, you know, plantation forestry, unfortunately, is unsustainable and inequitable, right? They have high capital and operational expenditure. They destroy indigenous ecosystems. There's lack of ownership, empowerment in it, because the people don't own the land and they just get a wage. There's high external input. And there's high short-term gains, but you have a cliff after that in many of these landscapes, right? And so if we look over 50 to 100 years, they are actually net emitters of CO2, and that's not good in our current CO2 dynamic. And on the flip side, bamboo-based agroforestry improves the village and land resilience, right? We have this diversified forest asset, or a social forestry asset, as we now call it, that has year-round harvest. We have increased forest productivity because of this right balance of the different species that need to be designed in the right way. And we say that a lot of these farmers, they have 4 PhDs in the backs of their heads that are activated when you walk across that landscape with them, and they can tell you what the subsoils are, what the geology is, what happens, which species grow where, etc. And they know so much of that context. And if you can capture that and design an agroforestry system and a social forestry system in line with that knowledge, it's the chances of success are so much higher than a lot of these reductionistic plantation systems that are just kind of plonked onto these landscapes. And with that, of course, we have improved village resilience, and we have ownership of these systems. And so we talk about 6 solution pathways to activate these bamboo-based agroforestry systems, or bamboo villages. Number 1, strengthening drivers for investment. How do we get different international finance institutions, private sector, to really invest and get bankers to invest in social forestry assets, and then creating these value chains that are very profitable. And as many of the communities say, they are planting a bank that will grow and grow much better interest than if they were to put money in the bank, but they need to have access to that land first. And so, assisting these farmers to get to real access is the first piece, and then we help get this investment in. And if we have enough of these systems growing in parallel, and for us, it's 200 bamboo villages in one jurisdiction, well, in one national jurisdiction, there's this network effect that happens where all of them share off each other. And this happened in China, and we are replicating that here in Indonesia. And so, growing a network of resilient bamboo villages is a really key pathway to a successful activation of this vision. And also building digital business solutions, having that smartphone for so many ways, and I'm sure many of you know better than I, how these smartphones just improve the transparency, traceability, and also the transaction efficiency for so many of these farmers. Ensuring market access through sustainable certification. We've been talking about how basically FSC certification is amazing, but it's too expensive. And so how can we as a global community help to have the rigor of FSC type certification, but at a 1/10 of the price, so that these farmers can afford it? And we're working with several different partners, including FSC, to do so. Governing bamboo agroforestry value chains, creating trust and transparency, and having everyone have a seat at the table, from the people, the public, and the private actors in these landscapes, is a convening role that we are also helping to do. And strengthening public sector investment and support and resources. One great example, we worked for 2 years to create a Director General decree, which is now a ministerial decree, to allow for the coppicing of bamboo as a non-timber forest product on protection forestry land. And so protection forestry land, if you cut 1 tree down, you go to jail for 5 years. But if you coppice bamboo, actually it's legal now. And so, some of these public sector advocacy and improving the support and resources is critical to the success. And in terms of impact,
Arief, I just wanted to, on time, we're going to have to wrap it up soon, just so that we can get some questions. So Absolutely. Just wanted to let you know. Thanks.
Great. Yeah, I've got 2 more slides. Thanks. Sorry to take a little too long. So, you know, one bamboo village, the communities can get $1 to $2 million of revenues per annum. And that's from 200 plus households on 2,000 hectares of land. You get 100 kilotons of CO2 sequestered per annum. And so our goal and our vision is by 2036 in 10 plus countries. And actually now we have many more countries that want to jump on board. So we're going to have to change that number. We want to build 10,000 bamboo villages. And so 10,000 bamboo villages on 20 million hectares of land can absorb and sequester 1 gigaton of CO2 every single year. And the revenues that they can create is $20 to $40 billion. And so imagine a world where we can make this happen. And the beautiful part, just to end, is that, as I said in the beginning, 12 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals are achieved just at that village level, with this village level doing value addition of a bamboo-based agroforestry system. You know, no poverty, zero hunger. I won't go through them all because we've run out of time, but bamboo is not the solution on its own, but bamboo villages, as we call it, or bamboo-based agroforestry, and integrating food systems and you know, using bamboo in all these amazing versatile uses is the way that we can design ecological systems, social systems, and economic systems to really empower bamboo to become this superhero that can turbo boost agroforestry systems. So I invite you all and I challenge you all, let's look at the opportunities of how bamboo can be integrated, how the giant grass in your areas, in your programmatic landscapes can be integrated into your landscape approach to really turbo boost the power of this giant grass. Thank you, everyone. And over to you, Natalie.
Great, thank you so much, Arief. I think we forgot to mention Arief is on the board of advisors for the UN Decade in Restoration, Ecosystem Restoration, and you'll be at COP 28 this year as well. So if you want, anyone who's going to COP can connect with Arief there. Thanks a lot, Arief. You know, I think you touched on so many really important points: the social aspects, the socioeconomic, the the resilience, the buffering of communities to extreme events. And I think also, oh, do you mind putting it on that last slide?
Yes.
The other, just in terms of WFP, another big issue that we grapple with a lot is energy security. And bamboo makes a really wonderful, quote unquote, sustainable charcoal that's high quality. There are certain types of bamboo that in the right conditions can grow up to 1 meter per day. I'm not actually in a bamboo forest, by the way. But, so imagine, a meter a day, how quickly that regenerates for high quality charcoal, also biochar. So I think in terms of WFP, these are photos that I took at the course in Bali. And I wanted to show these 2 images because these are really relevant to the work that we do. For example, this yurt is a really simple structure. I think it has 12 poles or 2, so maybe 16, and it's very easy to put together. So imagine in terms of emergencies, emergency shelters, emergency office setups in our infrastructure. Then this other image showing the shipping container. I mean, at WFP in the field, we have rub halls, we have shipping containers, we have prefabs. And oftentimes these compounds are barren, not nice landscapes, but imagine being able to put over this beautiful, simple, lightweight structure over the top to create this outdoor living space. And, that could be sourced from the community to, support the whole value chain. So I think there's so many opportunities for shelters and structures, compost making and soil building in our programs, bridges and other structures for ACL, asset creation and livelihoods, and also like wash and gray water programming in terms of constructed reed beds, constructed wetlands. I know that the Iraq team has been doing urban reed bed construction. So imagine human nutrient flowing into a whole bamboo system. And then, you know, also looking at how would we use bamboo to flood proof and drought proof our own offices, our compounds, rub halls, camps, shelters, settlements. So lots of opportunity. I think we've got, Serena's going to put a link in the chat for our Google survey. It's not a Mentimeter survey, but I think we wanted to open it up and for questions. Questions, comments, anyone? Great. If you have a moment, if you could just help us with that little survey. So I mean, we're a big group, we're 92 people, but if considered maintenance, how cost effective these bamboo structures are. Okay, so Arief, if you can see these questions, somebody's asking about, oh, I think somebody needs, if people can mute their mics. Foley, is somebody singing in your office? Okay, so Arief, if you consider, okay, folks, if you can please put your, Serena, are you able to mute people? Okay.
Yes,
so,
I'm doing that.
Thank you. How cost effective are bamboo structures? I mean, I think the biggest issue probably is transport, depending on where you are. But Arief, what are your thoughts on maintenance and the cost of bamboo structures?
Yeah, I mean, I think the cost of one of the most amazing designed disaster relief buildings that I think was a hexagonal structure designed by a famous Pakistani architect. The total cost of a knockdown bamboo panel system was $680. So it's very, very cost effective. It's some of the most cost effective, if not the most cost effective building material out there. And understanding how the communities can do just-in-time preservation of that is a knowledge gap that is not well understood. And once you can bridge that gap, actually you have this amazing opportunity. And if you don't bridge that gap, actually you only have a temporary building. So there's it's not as easy as to just say it, but yes, there is a way where and methodologies to bridge that gap and allow communities to do just-in-time preservation of bamboo and create extremely cost-effective structures.
And also very hurricane proof, right? Luis, what's his name? So now bamboo construction does have ISO standards and very much hurricane proof that have been done in Philippines and other locations. So I know, I see Claudius has a question, but Ivoli has a hand up and I know he's dressed as a penguin for a reason. He may have to run off soon to the EB, but Voli, you want to react? And then Claudius has a question. Voli, you're on mute.
Oh no,
we can't hear you. No, can't hear you. Maybe is your mic plugged in or? Oh, Serena, did you mute everyone?
No. And I can see that this microphone works. So maybe it's
test. Can you hear someone hear the test?
Okay. So while Voli figures out the mic situation, Claudius is asking, can bamboo cultivation be combined with cropping? How and in what context? Combined with cropping, with other crops, like annual crops.
Yes, absolutely. So there's in India they did bamboo, teak, turmeric belts, and then did cropping in between. I think they were doing 50-meter wide belts and then 50+ meter wide cropping in between. Sometimes they need to do that a little bit skinnier in drier landscapes. And of course, there's a lot of guidelines on how to design shelter belts appropriately, but definitely bamboo improves the resilience of the shelter belt if it's integrated, and then you get a harvest as well.
Yes, I think, Claudius, when it comes to design, when we're talking about permaculture principles, design principles, and in Arief's diagram that he showed, we're considering the sun direction. You can use a bamboo to create a microclimate and cool conditions for certain crops that don't want to have direct sun. You can do contour-based planting systems to harvest water and infiltrate that for groundwater recharge and longer term moisture security. So, we, as much as possible, we want to integrate perennial crops because those become the life support system of annual crops because they hold moisture in the soil with their root nets, their evergreen permanent root nets, and create biomass. I know, Voli, did you get your mic back? No, still can't hear you. Don't know what's happening. Okay, I think Bitika has, sorry, I wanted to say sun, wind direction, creating fire breaks, all of those are things that can be integrated. Hi, Bitika, you had a question or comment?
And
Oh,
yes,
Hi,
Ritika has a question.
Yes, thank you for the nice presentation. I'm from Bangladesh. The area I am working, I'm heading a sub-office here, but the area we are working here, riverbank erosion is a big problem.
Yeah.
But I am wondering if bamboo can contribute to that riverbank erosion. Thank you.
You mean the erosion or the stabilization? I mean, I can take a stab at it.
I mean, if it can reduce riverbank erosion.
Yeah, the
Anyhow.
special, thanks, Bithika, for that question. So bamboo has a tiny hairline root net system. It has these tiny, skinny little roots that go and grab, even in sandy soils, like a web and holds those soils together. So it's used all over the world for slope stabilization, reduction of erosion, and absolutely in riverbanks, for sure. In fact, in Malawi, we just were doing the CBPP boot camp, and the only non-degraded place, I know Jonathan is here, the only non-degraded place in the entire community was along the river where there were bamboo systems just naturally growing. So Bithika, absolutely. And I know that Bangladesh definitely struggles with a lot of measured distribution of water, if you will. And so that could be a really important part of some of the programming that we're doing to protect landscapes. Okay, I'm going to go to Vole, who hopefully got his voice back.
No, just for Arief, I think he wants to make a compliment, Natalie.
Yes, thank you. Hi.
Yes.
Sorry, just want to add, it's a great point. Thank you. And finding the right species of bamboo to grow on the riverside is really important because especially on the riverside, you can have anaerobic conditions for a few weeks of the year when you get flooding. And so actually quite a few of the bamboos can suffer in that anaerobic condition because those root hairs of grasses, they really need an aerobic condition. So finding the right species of bamboo and then just placing it exactly close enough, but not too close to the river is very important. So, you can learn from what is already happening in your area. So doing some baseline studies and some benchmarking would really enrich that process. But absolutely, thanks.
Arief, I think the Chinese quote you mentioned was the right species at the right place at the right time. Is that
exactly?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. If I may add here very quickly, I've been in Bangladesh many years ago, but one of the things that I've observed that there were already quite extensive use of bamboos in a number of areas, including, but as Ari was saying, it's because of the tendency of very high clumping problems of the board, especially on the big axis, when the chars are formed, chars are actually temporary or semi-temporary. Some of them become permanent islands between rivers. So if you plant too close to the raising of water level, which raises, following the flooding cycles, then it doesn't work. So you need to take that kind of, it's a technical problem. So we need, I'm sure there are a lot of experience out there that can also inform what Bitika was actually asking. So yeah, indeed, those kind of context-made solutions not only about species, but also the way that you position the bamboo itself. My quick question was, one is to go back to the issue of costs. Okay, the example that you provide, for example, floods or cyclone prevention, shelters or structures, that would be super important. Even if some of our offices could have even a 2-pager with a step-by-step how that and the cost, that would be super interesting. For example, in a number of contexts where perhaps we didn't think about it, maybe Madagascar, maybe other places, no? So that there are huge opportunities there. The second one, so is one of the solutions. You may have many that will fit within a WFP landscape, whether it is just for fending off from cyclonic events or rapid flooding or destructive flooding, but also from other type of situation, how to generate jobs, how to, prevent, having more of the flood protection, like Natalie was alluding in Malawi. And that would help to say, okay, within the space where WFP works, what is our potential contribution, as opposed to really think about, having, sorry, there is some disturbance here around, having just an approach that will describe the benefits of bamboo. Sorry, I'm not very articulated because I want to take my office and I need to be out. But so just a little bit of those contexts. I'm coming. And thank you so much. It's super interesting, and I need to really. I've been kicked out now from the conference room. Cheers.
Thanks so much, Willie. Thanks for making the time. I know there are a lot of other questions, but I think we've run out of time, and I want to respect everyone's time. Thanks everyone who made it to the call. Any other? Oh, sorry, Serena did put a link for the Google survey. There's a Mentimeter licensing issue, so Serena really quickly formulated a Google survey. Yeah, I mean, Arief has put his contact details, and for me, what I would love to see is, for our offices around the world, let's just start. Let's start testing. There's no finish line. There's only a starting line, and there's so many things that we can be doing, whether it's our shelters, the infrastructure and engineering, energy security, protection, climate adaptation. So I'm excited that we had so many people on the call. We did end up having 96 people at one point. So Arief, I just wanted to, see if you have any last sort of final thoughts, or just a last sort of comment to close with.
Thank you, Natalie. Yeah, no, thank you everyone for listening to our Bamboo Village story. And we've now created what we call the Bamboo Village Trust, and we're going around the world looking for backbone landscape partners to help empower village level champions to do bamboo-based agroforestry. So, if there is any backbone landscape partner candidates in your landscapes, please reach out. Let's deep dive. Let's look at all the opportunities. And, I'm sure we can create lots of different ways that these giant grasses can help improve the resilience and the productivity of your programs. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Arief. And I did want to say that, we mentioned earlier that if certain countries like Indonesia, if our regional bureau of Bangkok or regional bureau of Panama or anyone maybe wanted to do a little more tailored, contextualized presentations, that's something you might be open to. But yeah, anyone who wants more information, contact Arief. And I do need to take a quick selfie, Arief, to put on our Bamboo WhatsApp group. Hold on. Yeah, so thanks everyone, and please give me your feedback. I definitely want to do as many speakers for all of our global staff as you want. If there's certain topics that you want to learn about, if there's certain areas that you are interested in, I think that map that Arief showed around the tropical belt around the world, there was a huge part of that was in Africa, a huge part in Asia, a huge part in Latin America. And I think we would really be surprised how appropriate, you know, bamboo is in so many different contexts. So I hope that this is the beginning of our journey of really getting bamboo more into our work at WFP for food systems, climate adaptation, and ecological restoration. So thanks so much, everyone, and hope you have a wonderful day. And please do fill out the survey if it's not too annoying. And thank you so much, Arief. I really hope that we can, you know, collaborate more moving forward, and we'll be in touch.
Yes, let's grow bamboo together.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Have a good weekend. I'm an optimist. Be a Bambassador. Bye.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Serena. Take care. Thank you, Bitika.